Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to some more Williams Road to Glory, and today we're back with another episode and the Mexican Grand Prix. After this race, there will be 2 races left, but if you guys haven't seen the last 2 episodes, that the entire season, the entire championship, it's flipped on its head in the last 2 races. So if you haven't seen those, I do recommend you check those out. So I'll leave them linked up in the top right hand corner of the screen, because it's completely changed the outlook of this season and what we're fighting for now. So before we jump into season 3 very shortly, we've got a lot to fight for now in season 2. So yeah, today we're here at Mexico, and hopefully that's enough time to avoid spoilers. But in this episode, we're going to see if we can try and strengthen our grip on the championship, hopefully having a decent weekend. This is a strong track for me, so I'm looking forward to it. If you guys are going to enjoy the episode, as always, leave a like. Let's try and smash over 1,200 likes for this one. Ambitious target, but I trust you guys to deliver. Subscribe for more daily F1 content, and let's see what happens in Mexico. Now, as always, we look at the weather forecast, and this weekend there is no rain expected, so that's a good start. We then look at the R&D progression chart, and for the second race in a row we don't have an upgrade, but luckily it hasn't really changed our position too much as McLaren and Renault close the gap. And the reason for that is because we have 3 upgrades on the way. If all of these arrive, we should actually be the 3rd quickest team in Formula 1, so we're awaiting a big step forward in the next couple of races if all of our upgrades arrive. So we're ending the season strong, and we're pushing on, relentlessly with the development, and we're going to try and maximize the car and get it as fast as possible by the end of the season. So after practice, we had a decent session. Both myself and George scored a decent amount of points, and we then move into qualifying, into the Q1 session more specifically. And as I mentioned in the intro, this is a strong circuit for me. The AI aren't super fast around here, so this is a great opportunity, and part of the reason why we took an engine penalty in the last race. We started P20 in USA, and somehow we finished 2nd, so the gamble completely paid off, and we've now got a fresh engine for it. So best believe we're going to use that engine for these final races. Now in Q1, you can see here we're at the end of my first time lap, and I'll be honest, it's becoming routine now to get out of Q1, because this lap was more than enough to see us get comfortably out of Q1 as we go P1, top of the timesheets with a 112.2, and as you can see, Russell through in P8 as well with a 112.6. So both cars comfortably into Q2, and the car working well and the pace looking very good. So we then move into the Q2 session, and we're going to go for a full lap here. I'm going to commentate this one and give you guys a couple of pointers here and there. So along the pit straight, DRS wide open, one of the longest straights, if not the longest straight in Formula 1. You want to be patient, bring the car over to the left and brake on the curb. Hit the brakes at about 75 meters, and important through here to really be aggressive through turn 2 and turn 3 on those curbs. You're going to find a lot of lap time if you do that. DRS open for the second time as we race down towards turns 4 and 5. Braking at the 100, bring the car to the left, again aggressive over that curb on both the left and the right. Use all the runoff curb there to really make the track as wide as possible. Double apex right, again using all the exit curb to really maximize the traction out of there, as we then make our way into the S section. 6th gear, just let the car flow through, using the downforce and the setup to really let the car run the momentum as we open DRS for the 3rd time on this lap. And now sector 3 awaits the final part of the lap, the baseball stadium. Tipping the car into the first right-hander. Important to bring it back over to the right to open up the hairpin, the slowest corner on the racetrack. Easy over the curbs here as we then get onto the brakes for the final corner. 3rd gear, short shifting on the exit, and then bring the car to the right-hand side for the shortest run. And it's going to be P1 again with a 111.8, so a 4/10 improvement over our Q1 lap time. And again, that lap will be more than enough to see us comfortably through into Q3. On the other hand, George Russell unfortunately got knocked out. He set a 13.0, so he went 4/10 slower than his Q1 time. And I believe his Q1 time would have gotten P11, if I'm not mistaken. So George unfortunately missing out on Q3 for the first time in a few races. He's been getting in Q3 for the last few quite consistently. So George dropping a bit of form here this weekend. But we now move into Q3. This was my first lap in that session, and it was a decent banker, but the final sector was quite scruffy. We made a bit of a mistake, and it didn't really go too well. We set a 111.9, so we go just a little bit slower than Q2, but we still go P1 regardless with a pretty strong lap. And we're now going to go on board for my final lap in Q3, my final attempt in qualifying, and this time you guys get to enjoy the engine sounds as we go for our sound effects lap. So let's see if we can try and secure the pole position here at Mexico. And there we go, across the line, it's comfortably pole position, and we did it with a lot of time to spare, 1:11.7, and we made that big mistake into the stadium where that right-hander, we just completely overshot the corner, outbroke ourselves. So I think that was quite comfortably a very, very low 11.6, maybe even a high 5. So yeah, we got pole comfortably. Verstappen P2, Bottas P3, Hamilton only P8. So Hamilton dropping the ball in Q3, and he needs to outscore us this weekend, otherwise he will drop out of the title race. But anyway, that's it for qualifying. We're now going to move into the race here at Mexico, in which could be a critical race for the championship.
Here we go then, it's time to race in Mexico City, a place which gave Honda their first ever victory back in 1965. American Richie Ginther won from third on the grid. And what are the Honda-powered cars this year? Well, Red Bull have been going strong here in recent seasons, so can they keep that record going today? At 2,285 metres above sea level, the thin air of the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez poses a unique challenge, not just to a driver's skill, but to the efficiency of their engines as well. 17 corners make up a lap of this 2.6-mile circuit, and you can expect incredible speeds in excess of 220 miles per hour, and overtaking too into the hard braking zones of turns 1 and turn 4. Also here, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about Martinez. There's a real chance they could win the title today. So how do you think they'll handle the pressure?
I think as long as they keep their mind on the task and not its historical significance, they'll be just fine. This is a race just like any other. You do the best you can and accept that sometimes things are going to happen outside of your control. If they can approach today with that attitude, the pressure shouldn't be a problem.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Martinez lines up on pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Leclerc, Daniel Ricciardo, and Perez, Hamilton, Sainz, Kvyat, and Alexander Albon. Ocon, Gasly, they've taken a grid penalty. Sebastian Vettel and Russell, Norris, Stroll, Roman Grosjean and Kevin Magnussen, Giovinazzi and Nobuharu Matsushita. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
Okay guys, here we are in the race for the Mexican Grand Prix. Pole position, but not the best track for it because the run down to the first corner is massive and there's a pretty strong chance we could lose the lead. So we're going to have to get a really good start and pretty much drain the battery to try and hold on to P1. Either way, it's going to be an exciting race, I think, for us in terms of potentially extending our championship lead. We currently have an 11-point gap over second place, I believe, Max Verstappen, and he's behind us. So if we can win this race, that would be crucial heading into the final two races. Worth noting, someone like Lewis Hamilton, they've got a lot of pressure today because they need to outscore us here today to stay in the title fight. So let's see what happens. It's going to be an interesting race. In terms of strategy, we're going to start the soft tyres, of course, that we qualified on Q2, and then I'm going to try and one-stop it, but the game won't allow me to select that option. So we'll see what happens. In principle, this is what we've got as options, but I'm definitely inclined to go maybe soft, medium, soft as a possible option. So yeah, that's going to be what we're looking at in this race here today. No rain expected, fuel-wise 0.2 because we're already on pole, so I don't need the extra fuel to kind of overtake. And, you know, I'm already ahead. So yeah, let's see what happens. And we'll find out shortly if today's race is going to help us take a massive step towards a first World Drivers' Championship. Okay, here we go. Let's see if we can get a nice clean start and somehow hold on to the lead. It's a quick 5 lights. We bogged down off the line. It's not a good start. Absolute calamity here. Disaster strikes. We're going to have to just tuck into the slipstream of Bottas here to try and fight back as Verstappen and Leclerc all get by it. Don't really know where to go here, but we've been swallowed up by the pack, so I have to be careful into the first few corners, trying to avoid contact. We get pushed off there. I don't know by who. I think it was Ricardo. Luckily, they were okay. No damage. So we're going to hold on to P4 at least. So it's something. But we have lost out to Verstappen and Bottas. Of course, our two main title rivals, and Hamilton nowhere to be seen right now. So this could be definitive for Lewis Hamilton, potentially losing his championship as the defending champion. But so far, P4. Not what I had in mind, but I'm confident we'll have the pace to win the race. We just need to kind of stay calm and let the car do the work, and it will all work out for us. So let's go about getting back past Charles Leclerc here. We'll see if we can challenge a Ferrari. I'm pretty close already. Through the stadium we go. I'm going to try and line him up for the pit straight. Into the hairpin, just trying to keep that gap nice and close to the Monegasque driver. And now the final corner, trying not to overshoot it too much. Not quite getting the traction there that I would have liked, but there we go. In the wheel tracks, we're going to drain the battery here to try and get past Leclerc. We're going to select the mediums from our pit stop, but here we go. Can we get past Charles Leclerc? To the outside we go. On the brakes. Long way round, turn 1. Come on, inside through 2. Yes, nice. Okay, back up to P3 straight away. Good move. We needed that one. Let's crack on and get after Bottas now. Okay, fastest laps being exchanged right now. First it was Verstappen, then it was Bottas, and now it's myself. So we're pushing here. The pace is pretty strong already, as DRS is now enabled in this race. Well, we're currently stuck in a bit of a DRS train right now. Verstappen and Bottas here, just kind of leading the way. And Bottas getting a nice slipstream and DRS effect from Verstappen, so I can't really get close to the Mercedes right now. I'm also trying to save my DRS a little bit after using quite a lot in those first couple of laps. So right now I am chilling, but I do feel quicker. It's just about timing this overtake and waiting for the right moment. I'm so much quicker through the low speed stuff compared to these guys. In the medium to high speed corners or traction zones, they're pretty good, but this section, especially right here, where it's all really, really slow, I've just got a lot more pace. I can seem to get the car rotated a lot quicker and a lot more easily. Bottas there almost cutting across my path, but I am wanting to make a move now. I feel a lot quicker. So let's see if we can try and make something happen. Pretty close to Bottas this time. I wonder, could we go for a bit of a different move? Maybe not. I was thinking about the baseball stadium, but struggling a little bit there. If I can just get the traction out of here, which I don't really get. I am struggling through there to get the traction that I need to make any kind of overtake really stick. Let's see what happens though. Bottas is actually pretty close to Verstappen this time, so there might be some action down towards turn 1. And indeed there is. Let's see what happens here. Verstappen's going to re-challenge Bottas, who locks up and actually gets it back straight away. I'm going to take a super wide line, but the rear tyres let go. Oh, that's such a bad one. We needed that there. Just the rear tyres let go of me completely over the curb. Let's keep the pressure on. That was a bit of a shame. That was a golden opportunity there to potentially get both cars. But I'm so much quicker right now. I've actually forced Bottas to go defensive here. Can I maybe try? I was thinking about getting a comeback there, but there was no space. Pit stop phase is going to be key here. Now this is my scheduled pit stop lap. I'm going to go for one more. I'm going to try and go for this alternate strategy of soft, medium, soft. So we're just going to stretch it out by one more. Looks like these guys are doing the exact same thing. And we're going to box now at the end of this lap. So let's see if we can maybe get them in the pit stop phase. That would be ideal for us, to be fair, as Leclerc pits behind for Ferrari. Right, let's see if Verstappen or Bottas are going to pit with us this lap. But we're going to go for the medium. They're probably going to go for the hard, or at least I hope so. Are they going to pit? Okay, they both pit. I'm going to actually, in that case, I'm going to go one more. I'm going to try and do the opposite. I'm going to have one push lap here and see if I can overcut them. My tyres are pretty knackered, especially my rears, but I'm going to try this overcut and see if we get lucky. It's worth a go. Everyone's in the pit lane, so we'll get the benefit of a free pit lane this lap. This has been a solid in lap, only a 10th off my personal best. Obviously, we're going to lose a bit more time through this traction zone of section 3. But that's okay. In lap has been solid, and that's all I wanted. Now we're going to box and see if we've done enough. You never know, Verstappen or Bottas could be in a bit of traffic, so this could work out for us. We're going to go for the mediums, and us staying out this long is going to make that strategy quite easy now, so medium soft. Can we get a quick turnaround here? No, 2.6, it's not a good stop. It's not good, it's a pretty slow one, but nonetheless. Here comes Verstappen, he's on soft tyres. Bottas on softs as well. So we've not been able to overcut them because they went for the soft tyre again, which is fair enough. But they're going to be on either hards or mediums later on, and we're going to be on the softs at the end. And we've got a fresh set that we saved in qualifying. So advantage to us, in my opinion. We just got to try and keep the pace on these tyres for the first few laps. And then once they start to drop off, we should naturally just catch them back up. Oh, yellow flag. It's Bottas. Oh my god, that is massive for the championship. Valtteri Bottas out of the race. Just trying to clear Bottas out without having any contact, but that is it. That could be Bottas out of the running for the World Championship, and that's going to trigger a safety car, as we know in this career mode by now. We get a safety car every race, and that's going to be another one. Wait for it. There we go. There's the safety car. Right, so Bottas out. Hamilton's up to P4 now, interestingly enough. But that race has really opened things up now in the championship. Bottas out of the championship. Wow. And interestingly, Verstappen pits. What tyre is he going to go for? We'll see what he chooses. I think he's going to go for the hard tyre. Yes, he is. So Verstappen possibly going to the end like his teammate. Okay, so we're going to have a bit of a mix-up on strategy now. We're going to have some still pretty fresh medium tyres, to be honest, for the safety car restart. So we're looking pretty decent right now. Hamilton's P2 on mediums. I think he's still yet to stop. I actually can't predict now. This race has really opened up because of this safety car, and the strategies now are all over the place. Okay, safety car in this lap, trying to get a last bit of tyre temperature right now before we get going. Hopefully we can get a good restart and try to just secure this P1 really. I'm not sure what Hamilton's tyres are. I do believe he has to pit still, but you never know, I could be wrong. Let's try and nail this restart if possible. Going to use the lower gears. Wait for it. Right, I'm just going to floor it. There we go. Away we go. Going to pull straight over to the right hand side to try and break the toe here. Hamilton's going to try and get a slipstream. Meanwhile, Kvyat passing Leclerc. Leclerc opting to not go for the toe, which is interesting. Tyre's a little bit cold, but enough temperature to get them to work through here. And just like that, we've held on to the race lead. We can now crack on and try and open a gap. We get full control of the race in P1, so this is a great opportunity for us to really push now and pull away. Okay, DRS enabled. We've managed to get a gap to Hamilton, up to 1.6. The more the laps go on, the less I think Hamilton has to pit. I think he already pit earlier on, so his P2 right now is a net P2. Even then, it's not enough. Hamilton needs to be ahead of us to keep his championship hopes alive, so we could be seeing both Mercedes cars drop out of contention by the end of this race, which would be massive. Okay, there we go. Hamilton pits along with Leclerc and Gasly. Verstappen now up to P2. I'm trying to keep the pace up and keep pushing. We're going to pit around lap 27 for a fresh set of soft tyres, so just a few more laps to go, but right now the pace is good. Obviously, we have to take into account we're going to have to get on the soft tyres and fight back to try and re-overtake Albon and Verstappen, so we're going to have work to do in this final stint, that's for sure. Okay, we're going to pit this lap then. It's been a good stint, pace has been good. Even though the last 3 laps my tyres feel horrible, we're still quicker than the cars behind. We're still pulling away from Verstappen and Albon and Perez as well. And Hamilton on fresh mediums isn't making a dent. So we just seem to have great pace around here. We're going to box though for our final stop of the race. Fresh set of softs at the ready. I think we should rejoin just ahead of Perez and Hamilton, who are currently battling away. So we should be net P3 if we're lucky. Fresh softs as well. Here we go. Green light, 2.5. Not a great stop, but again, not too bad. Let's see where Albon is. We might actually be ahead of Albon. No, not quite. It won't be by much though. So Verstappen is going to be about 9 seconds, let's say 9.5 up the road. So we need to try and catch him and make up almost 10 seconds in about 8 laps. So over a second a lap. Let's see how that goes then. Fresh soft tyres, let's give it everything and let's try and win this race. So it's going to be Albon first, who we have to try and overtake. Obviously I've got so much more grip on these tyres. Out the chicane we go, DRS open. We're going to just pull to the inside, don't need to even use any ERS here. Down the inside, nicely done, nice and clean. And we're up into P2. Let's go after Max, we've already gained over a second this lap. His pace is not great, as we set a couple of purple sectors in the process. Right, let's go after Max and let's also try and bag a fastest lap. So we're going to give everything on this one, we're going to use all the ERS to try and set a purple lap. As Hamilton responds with a 14.8. And just like that, through the final corner, this lap should be easily the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. And it's a 13.3. I don't think that's going to get beaten. Captain Verstappen now 4.2. We are flying. Oh, Charles Leclerc at the race. That's going to be a virtual safety car. Will just allow us to save a little bit of fuel. But Charles Leclerc having a decent race, but he's now out of it. This is it. DRS on Verstappen. I don't think we're going to pass him into turn 1. We're too far away, but maybe out of the first 3 corners we can get him down towards turn 4. We're just going to try and close the gap here first and foremost. Let's see what we're looking like on the brakes. Can we brake late? Yes, we can. A little bit hot, but that's okay. We'll get that corrected. I'm just so much quicker through there. And now we're going to drain the battery to try and get this moved on. Verstappen doesn't have DRS. He goes defensive quite aggressively. I'm going to go on the outside though and just go the long way around, use the grip, and we've done it into the lead of the race. And this could be huge for the championship. Hamilton will be out of the running. Bottas picking up a big fat 0, and we currently lead with the fastest lap with Verstappen, our closest rival behind us, with 2 races to go. And there we go, last lap of the race, into the baseball stadium. The confetti goes up into the air, and we're going to win another race this season, and this one is massive because we're going to extend our championship lead with just 2 more races to go, and this is a massive 26 points. Come on.
It's victory in Mexico then, and what a victory it is after an incredible Grand Prix. So Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
Well, the safety car completely changed the race, didn't it? It's hard to say exactly what would have happened without it, but there's no question that they came out of that situation in a good position.
It looks like it's time once again to hand out the silverware as these successful drivers make their way to the podium. It was a gritty performance today by Williams, and they've got the race win to prove it.
There it is. It's a massive race. A race victory at Mexico ahead of Verstappen and Hamilton. They tried their best. They couldn't get close enough. Albon P4 ahead of Perez, Ocon, Gasly, Ricciardo, Kvyat and Vettel. Russell misses out on the points in P11 today, and to be fair, a bit of a disappointing weekend from George. His pace wasn't there. Also missing out the points, we have Lando, Lance, Carlos, Roman, Nobuharu Matsushita, Giovinazzi, Magnussen, and then Leclerc and Bottas out of the race. Now, in terms of the standings, with 2 races to go, we are 26 points clear of Max Verstappen. Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton drop out of mathematical championship contention, so it's a double L for the Mercedes here today at Mexico. And in the constructor standing, the gap has actually closed down a bit. Mercedes now are only 60 points ahead of Red Bull, and we are less than 100 behind Red Bull. So the top 3 are closing up, but it's too little, too late, and we're too far away to really, overturn the deficit. So P3 for us in the constructor standings, but 2 races remain, and we are looking very good to win the World Drivers' Championship. Let's move into the upgrades though, and let's see what we can do to improve our car moving forward.
You performed better than last weekend. What changed?
Well, I don't think the difference was major. I think we had a good performance last weekend as well, to be honest. I don't think, there was some big changes.
You're surpassing all expectations. Can anything or anyone stop you?
Well, let's hope no one can, because we're pretty close to the goal now, and the work we've put in, as a team, it's been insane. So I really hope that we can bring this home. Well, after that race, we once again outscore Lewis Hamilton in the rivalry by 2 more points, and we now have a 4-point lead heading into the final few races of the season. In terms of driver acclaim, again, another step forward, but still a long way away from level 15, but hopefully, if we're lucky, we might get there by the end of the season. Here we are then, back in the office, 1,881 R&D points to spend. We've got some upgrades planned for the 5th and the 11th, just before the Brazilian Grand Prix. And we just had another upgrade go onto the car for the chassis, I believe. I think it was this one here for the tyre blankets or the heave dampers, one of these two. They're on the car now, so we're the 3rd best team now in the chassis department, which is pretty insane. We're going to go ahead and do some more upgrades though, and we're kind of restricted in the aerodynamics because we need the team to unlock the next level of fabrication upgrades, so we can't really do much about that. And these ones are kind of pointless because they're just DRS upgrades. I can't see how that's going to give us any major performance. So we're going to go ahead, and I think for the first time ever, I'm going to go for some durability work, and this is with an eye on next season. I think this could be a good step in the right direction for us. So gearbox wise, we're doing okay, so we're going to upgrade elsewhere, and the ICE is one of the parts that wears out the most, so we're going to do that one as well. We're going to also do the turbo, so we can afford that, so we'll get that on the car. And yeah, we're going to start making little baby steps in the durability as well to try and plan for season 3. So yeah, right now we've got those upgrades on the way. As you can see, most of them in terms of performance, they're all to do with the engine. So let's skip ahead and let's see if they all arrive before Brazil. Well, it's good news. All the upgrades have arrived, including a facility upgrade to level 2 on the fabrication for the powertrain. So everything looks good. We've just got some durability work on the way, and on paper we are the 3rd fastest team in Formula 1. So what a turnaround. The mid-season has been so intense, but we've outdeveloped everybody, and we're now the 3rd fastest team on the grid. So great to see the cars working well, and the next race is Brazil, and we are in our strongest ever position to try and secure those extra points and to try and end the season on a high. But guys, if you enjoyed today's episode of the Williams Road to Glory, leave a like. Let's try and smash over 1,200 likes on this episode. Subscribe for more daily F1 content on my channel, and as always, a massive thank you to the members of the channel for supporting the content. And finally guys, if you haven't done so already, check out the 2 videos on screen if you have missed it. But that is it from me, and I'll see you next time at Interlagos. Until then, take care, and it's goodbye from me.